Subscribe and leave a comment saying I subscribed, and I will personally reply to your comment. The night was meant to be unforgettable, and in a way it was, just not for the reasons we expected. The wedding reception was at a luxurious hotel casino in Las Vegas. I won't name the establishment. Crystal chandeliers hung like frozen fireworks above a sea of smiling faces. The tables were adorned with delicate floral arrangements, and each dish served was a testament to culinary excellence. Or so we thought. I remember savoring the meal, every bite a symphony of flavors. The filet mignon was cooked to perfection, the accompanying sides seasoned just right. As the night progressed, the chatter grew louder, the laughter more infectious. Then came the dessert. The waiter placed a delicate plate in front of me, a beautifully crafted chocolate mousse garnished with edible gold leaf. It looked almost too perfect to eat. I looked next to me, and my friend Bob, who was enjoying the open bar a little too much, had finished his before it was even placed in front of him. I took a spoonful of mine, letting the rich, velvety sweetness melt on my tongue. But within seconds, a peculiar sensation spread through my mouth. At first, it was just a bitter aftertaste, something unexpected but not immediately alarming. Then came the burning. Across the table, my friend Mark put down his spoon, his face contorting in confusion. "Does this taste weird to you?" he asked, his voice already tinged with concern. Before I could answer, a ripple of unease spread through the room. Murmurs of discomfort turned into gasps, and then the sound of someone retching cut through the celebratory atmosphere like a dagger. It wasn't long before the symptoms escalated. Bob's stomach clenched with a ferocity that left him doubled over. A cold sweat broke out across his forehead, and nausea hit the room like a tidal wave. Around me, guests were collapsing into chairs or rushing to the nearest bathroom. The once lively ballroom had transformed into a scene of chaos. I only had one bite of my dessert, and I didn't feel well. What was going to happen to people like Bob that ate the whole thing without realizing there was something wrong with it? Paramedics arrived within what felt like an eternity, but was likely no more than 30 minutes. Their presence confirmed what we were all beginning to suspect. This was no ordinary bout of food poisoning. By the time I was loaded into an ambulance, the whispers had started. Something about a chemical contamination. My head swam with fear and confusion. How could this happen? At a fancy place like this, with food prepared by celebrated chefs. The investigation that followed was like something out of a nightmare. Tests revealed that the chocolate mousse had been contaminated with a toxic chemical used in cleaning agents. A catastrophic lapse in kitchen protocol, they said. The staff had inadvertently mixed up containers, and the result was devastating. How could someone be so careless, I thought. Dozens of us were hospitalized, even the bride and groom, and some of the guests were in critical condition. Thankfully, though, no one died. Weeks later, long after I recovered at home, I found myself unable to eat anything that remotely looked, smelled, or tasted like chocolate. And the thought of eating out, which was once a great source of joy, had become a source of extreme anxiety. When I took the job at the club, it wasn't for the history. The place had been around forever, yeah, but it was just a paycheck to me. At 22, I wasn't exactly looking for anything profound, just something to cover rent and keep my weekends free. Nobody told me the club's story on my first day. Nobody had to. It's the kind of thing that gets passed around like an inside joke. The Eagle Saloon. That's what this place used to be. Dragged upriver from San Francisco back in the 1860s. Back when gold and whiskey were the lifeblood of every ramshackle town along the way. Apparently, this building had seen it all. Poker games that ended in bloodshed, gunfights at high noon, and the kind of hard drinking that left shadows in the walls. I didn't put much stock in the ghost stories, but the regulars loved to whisper about them. Lights that flickered for no reason, cold spots that followed you around, glasses that slid off the bar without a push. It made for good conversation. Or so I thought. It was a Thursday night when it happened. Slow night. The kind where you hear every creak of the old wood beneath your boots. I was manning the bar, restocking bottles, keeping an ear out for the occasional shout of laughter from the lone group of customers in the corner. By 11, they were gone, and I had the place to myself. The quiet felt heavier than usual, but I shrugged it off. This place had a way of feeling alive even when it wasn't. I was stacking chairs when I saw it. Movement in the mirror behind the bar. Just a flicker at first, like someone walking past. I turned quickly, expecting, I don't know, maybe the manager checking in or one of the guys from the kitchen. But the place was empty. The only sound was the soft hum of the refrigerator. "Hello?" I called out. Nothing. I went back to work, trying to shake off the prickle of unease. But then it happened again. A shadow. This time, it wasn't in the mirror. It was just there, near the far corner of the room. Dark, indistinct, and definitely out of place. I just about shit my pants, figuratively, of course. "Who's there?" I demanded, deepening my voice. No answer. I grabbed the flashlight from behind the bar and stepped toward the corner. The beam cut through the dim, revealing nothing but overturned chairs and worn floorboards. Still, the cold lingered, clinging to my skin like an icy breath. And then, the lights went out. All of them. No flicker, no warning. Just blackness. I swear, I felt something then. Not just the cold. It was like being watched, like something unseen had stepped into my personal space. I swung the flashlight around wildly, every shadow looking more solid than it should. My breathing was fast. I wanted to bolt for the door, but my legs didn't seem to get the message. And that's when I heard it. A low chuckle. It wasn't loud, but it was close. Too close. "Hey, whoever you are, you better come out," I yelled. My flashlight swept the room again, but there was nothing there. The laugh stopped. Then, as suddenly as they had gone out, the lights flickered back on. The warmth returned, and the air felt normal again. But I didn't. I stood there for a long moment, flashlight shaking in my hand. I didn't move until the sound of my manager's voice startled me from the doorway. "Hey, everything okay? The lights just went out for a second." I wanted to tell him everything, but the words stuck in my throat. He didn't look like the kind of guy who'd take a ghost story seriously. Instead, I just nodded. "Yeah, power glitch or something." He shrugged and walked back out. I finished my shift as fast as I could, but I couldn't stop glancing at the mirrors, the corners, the empty spaces that suddenly felt less empty. That night, I lay awake in bed, hearing that chuckle over and over in my head. I worked at the club for 6 months. I don't know exactly what it was that night I saw, I just know how I felt, and I couldn't stay working there. I still live in the area, and the stories of the place are still well and truly alive, and all I know is that Saloon can't seem to hold on to employees for long at all. I wonder why that is. Before I tell this last story, please leave a comment telling me what you think of this video and what you would like to hear in the next one. I really appreciate your input, and please, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It would help me out a lot.
When I was 17, which is quite a few years ago now, I worked at a burger joint. It was a big chain that I am definitely not going to say the name of. It was the kind of place where every booth had sticky seats and a faint smell of fryer oil hung in the air like an old habit. It was minimum wage, sure, but it wasn't a bad gig. But there was this thing we did when the customer deserved it. Now, before you judge me, let me be clear. Not every bad attitude earned retaliation. Most people were fine, grumpy at worst, and you let it roll off like water on a grease-slicked floor. But every so often, you'd get someone special. Someone who came in swinging with an attitude so rotten, it felt personal. Like the guy who berated a cashier because his coupon was expired. Or the lady who tossed her change on the counter like we weren't worth the effort of eye contact. Those a-holes, well, they got the special sauce. It wasn't anything too grotesque. We were young and stupid. We had limits. No spitting or anything you'd see in one of those urban legends. But let's just say the rules of food handling got a little lax. The grill guy would sear your burger a little longer, or your burger might have ended up on the floor before it was in your mouth. Or maybe someone would accidentally forget that you ordered your burger without pickles, so you got nothing but pickles on your burger. And the fries? Oh, those fries might have gotten the short pour from the bottom of the bin, cold and soggy and just shy of being trash with a seriously unhealthy dose of salt. I still remember the first time I saw it happen. There was this guy, I'll call him Guy. He came in barking orders like he owned the place, snapping at one of the girls working the register because she wasn't fast enough for his precious lunch break. She had that look in her eyes, like she was about to cry, but she held it together, just barely. When his order came back to the kitchen, the fry cook, a dude named Jimmy, smirked. "Guess who's getting the Jimmy special?" he said. He flipped the guy's burger on the ground and pressed on it with his shoe into the greasy, crumb-laden tile floor. He loaded the burger up with lots of hot mustard and raw onions, which we all knew no one liked, and hit the fries with the heaviest pouring of salt he could manage, enough to raise anyone's blood pressure. I asked him later if he felt bad. He shrugged and said, "If they want nice food, they should be nice people." At the time, I thought it was funny. A little petty justice in a world where the customer was always right and the worker was always wrong. But now, years later, I'm not so sure. Don't get me wrong, some of those people deserved it. They were complete a-holes. But did it really make anything better? I doubt Guy learned a lesson from his lukewarm over salted fries. If anything, he probably left angrier than he came in. I quit that job before I graduated high school, but sometimes I still think about it. I think about the people who got the Jimmy special. I think about Jimmy and his philosophy, and whether it's better to fight back through little microaggressions or just let it go. Mostly, though, I think about going back to that time and telling Guy to take his burger and shove it where the sun doesn't shine and learn some respect. But that's not how things work when you're 17 and wearing a polyester uniform. I guess, be nice to the people that make your food, because you never know if you're going to get the Jimmy special.
If you would like to hear more stories and support this channel, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching.